Hey guys, so we're 5 minutes over. We thought of live streaming this meeting, but I guess that's not happening because we need a verification code and I can't authent right now. So, whatever. Let's begin. I think Lee will join us in between. Before we begin, we have a tradition here. If any newcomers are on the call, then let's get acquainted with them. Anurag, I think this is your first websites call. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, this is my first website call. Hi, my name is Anurag. I'm a second year student and yes, looking forward to contribute.
Thanks for hopping in, Anurag. So that's all with the newcomers, I guess. So let's get started with the agenda then. So I am first on the agenda, anyways. So I'll just share some updates that I have with the catalog I've been working on. So basically, to give context for people, we have a concept of patterns in Meshery. So we've been working on a service mesh patterns catalog. We have called it service mesh catalog because we will be incorporating WASM filters as well over here. But right now it's just a preliminary patterns catalog. As you can see, we don't have a lot of patterns. So basically what this would empower people to do is they would be able to download the YAML file or copy the URL of this pattern and then import it in their Meshery UI. Right now we have a basic filter which just filters which apparently doesn't work right now. So I've been working on a multiple filter layout, but I haven't quite been able to figure it out yet. Uh, I have been able to write the JavaScript. As you can see, it filters in the console, but it doesn't quite filter in on the page, which is what we needed to do because who would check the console? So where I'm stuck is that I have written down a JavaScript file which stores the result in an array, a resultant array which has the filtered stuff, but I'm not being able to access that data through the HTML. I think it's a little complicated, but if somebody has good experience with vanilla JavaScript, you guys are more than welcome to hop on and try it out. My PRs have already been merged, so if someone wants to take a look at this, it's there in the code base, and it's quite well commented out if someone wants to take a look there. Anything else somebody would like to suggest, maybe with the design, or just share your thoughts, if any?
Has this been merged in the master branch itself?
Yeah, it has been merged.
All right, cool.
Yep. All right, I'm guessing nobody else wants to say anything. So, Yash, we'll hold off on your topic for now, since this would need Lee's intervention. So we'll come back to you when Lee comes back, like when Lee joins us. Okay. I hope Yash is on the call. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Devopriya, would you like to take us forward with this?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Yeah. Sure.
So I was working on the resource page, which basically what I did is added in this filter, which filters through the various resources that we have. Now I think Richa was supposed to add numbers, like these categories do not have any resource yet, so it needs to display a 0 here. So that is what is left. Other than that, I think it filters it properly right now. It filters, as you can see, only the articles like this, or only the blogs or something of that sort. What I'm yet to do, or what you guys can volunteer as well, is we had a pager before. like you can see in blog, we had a pager uh, created for older resources, newer resources, and stuff like that. But since resources are supposed to be timeless, I did not think that older and newer resources kind of made sense. So I was thinking of making a new pager for this page. So if any one of you is interested, you can come forward. I can create the issue and you can go ahead with that. That was one thing which was left. Another thing which is left is right now, if you've gone through the code base, we have several collections, right? So whatever is displayed on this page is the collection resources. So it's only all the topics and the resources, it filters it all properly. But since this is a resource library, we also need to display blogs and workshops and events, and these are separate collections. So I haven't been able to integrate all the collections together. So right now, all these categories, product or technology, it filters only through the resources collection. But I also have to filter, suppose I click on blogs, it will only filter the resources which have an attribute called blog, but it actually does not display the various blogs that we have as of now. So that is one thing that I have to work on. So like I think I mentioned three right now. So Richa is already working on the 0 1. So if anyone else wants to take anything up, you can text me. Otherwise, I'll be moving forward with figuring it out. So that was my opinion on what all needs to be added in. Anything else you would want to suggest or want to work on? Like you can share your opinions now.
I think instead of adding 0, we can like hide it or change the color which doesn't have any resource for the time.
Uh, in like if we change the color, I think it'll do the opposite work. Like it'll attract people towards that more. So
We
maybe
can
not the
hide it
color.
because if it doesn't has any.
Yeah, or we can make those fields disable. Like,
Disabling is a good idea, I think.
yeah, like instead of adding zeros, we can make these fields mutable.
Richa, are you saying something? I don't think you're audible.
Yeah, so I'm also convincing making it hide, because giving it a zero attribute would make something negative. So I think that we can enable or hide these all the options.
Yeah, we can fade them, like FAQ, like we have FAQ, 0 FAQ, so we can make it mutable and we can fade them. Like we can use different text, lighter, bit lighter, like grayish text for them, and we can make them mutable. Like no one able make it disable instead of just displaying zeros. If that works.
So, like to me, both the ideas make sense. We either hide them completely or disable them.
So let me do one thing. I can create both and share the screenshot. Will that work? So it would be better to judge which one is looking nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that works better. So I think the thought behind putting a zero there for now is we have a bunch of resources, but we haven't written them down yet. And right now, what I guess there are maybe 12 or maybe even less of what is already written down. So the concept of putting a zero there right now would be so basically it's because we don't have a lot of stuff out there, right? We don't want anyone who visiting the site to just see 4 filters that they can click through, because then what's the point of a filter if there are only 4 types of things on that page? So basically keeping all of them here is the better choice, because then there's this attraction that there are so many resources that people can actually pick through, but there aren't any right now, but they would be added in the future, right? So a zero or like hiding them is probably not a good option, but yeah, we could definitely. I
Fade
think
out.
somebody was suggesting it. Yeah, fade it out, fading it out or zero. These two are good options that we can go forward with.
Cool. I will share the screenshot and then let's judge which one is right. Cool.
All right. Yep. Sounds good. Devapriya, anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, that's all.
All right. Thank you. So, moving on. Service with the service mesh playground, I'll just share my. Okay, I'm not sharing my entire screen. So I'll just share some designs that Lee was putting up. So basically, what I understand with the concept of service mesh playground is people would be able to launch their WebAssembly filters or service mesh patterns on a simulated playground, basically like what we have with the labs for the service mesh adapters, but this would be our own uh, since what we use for the service mesh adapters is we use a Catacoda environment, which is not great. We run into a lot of problems with the Catacoda environment. So we would basically be making our own environment where you would be able to launch your sample patterns, be it custom patterns or predefined patterns, and then integrate them with the service mesh adapters and run maybe performance tests or whatever. I'm not clear with all the details of it yet, but you'd be able to launch some sample apps, maybe run some conformance tests. So these are the preliminary designs that Lee was making. I think we are going to open up a separate repo for this, and we'll have to start working on this pretty soon. This is a pretty interesting concept. I wish Lee was here to explain it more, but this is the basic knowledge I have about it. So yeah. Moving on, Aditya, would you like to talk about the service mesh labs?
Yeah. As Aditya said, we run a lot of problems with Catacoda. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Right. I'll share my screen once.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, is my screen visible?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So I'm in the process of updating the labs. The instructions written out here are like a bit old because it referred to previous measure UI. As you can see, the management and everything has been changed quite a bit. So I'm in the process of updating these with the screenshot as well as the text which are written here, right? So so I was as going through the labs, I encountered one problem with the linkered adapter. So after running this code, the emoji votos application should be running on the local host 8080, but I don't think that's happening. Instead, it's running in port 80 only. So yeah, although it's saying is port forwarding from 80 to 8080, but it's not opening in this 8080 port. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I'm
But it
trying
is
to see.
working on the 80
Yeah,
port.
if I change this to 80, yeah, this starts to work, but on the 8080 it doesn't work.
Okay, so basically it's not port forwarding, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so we can deal with this in two ways. Either we can change the instructions to say that the app is running on the port 80, or maybe this command is outdated. If you go through the kubectl docs, you'll be able to find it if you just search for this command. Maybe we are missing a flag or something.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Or we can
but
change the instruction also.
yeah, or we can just change the instruction to say that it's running on port 80.
Yeah, that would be easy. And another thing, yeah, after installing, it automatically goes into Vim edit mode. So like, is there
Yeah.
how is that happening? I'm not understanding it. Is it cat code
Right.
thing or?
Yeah, I think it's a category thing. I've brought this up before as well, but uh, um, so there was a conclusion drawn from that maybe it's because we are using it because we are deploying it using Kubernetes. It'll require some research. I'll try to send some Stack Overflow docs your way because I think it's a Catacoda thing and there is no workaround it, like a workaround around it. So we'll
Oh,
have to take a look there. Because it's a Catacoda thing, right? Because Catacoda is taking us into Vim mode. There's no way that we can deal with it. I don't think there
yeah.
is.
Yeah, so would it be better to add a like an extra information around here, like if you encounter a Vim edit mode, follow these steps, or will it look?
Yeah, if there's no way that we can take like if there's no way to not go into Vim mode, then we'll have to add an instruction because not everybody actually reads what's written on the screen. Like if we enter the Vim mode, it says that we can quit it, right?
Yeah, it says we can quit it, but yeah, this is the problem. Like sometimes it stays in the Vim mode, but at sometimes it just like the pods when the pods are not updated, and it just
Hmm.
exits it. So
Oh, okay.
that's where problem adding in the instruction. Like what language should I use?
Yeah.
Like if you encounter this,
You can add a small note, like if somebody, like if you just write it in a note, whatever the proper English is. If you write it
okay.
in a note, just don't make it pop out of the screen. A small note at the end of setup machinery.
Yeah, yeah. So like after at the end of setup machinery. So like
Yeah,
below,
before the provider part, right? Before connect to your cluster. It goes
yeah,
into
yeah,
Vim mode before you can go into the machinery UI page, right?
yes, yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So like
If
before
you,
this thing.
yeah, just before that part.
All right, all right. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, we are like working on updating other adapters also. This was the adapter that I fell in trouble with, and if I fell in trouble with more, I will be contacting this for the same.
All right, sounds good. Uh, Thank you, Aditya.
All right, thank you.
A little context to people who have not seen these before. So we have some service mesh labs where you can deploy sample apps using some uh, adapters. I guess like it was we recently added as a prereq to your LFX application as well. People who applied before would not receive this task, but it's a task to go around and play around with these adapters, play around with these labs. As you can see, Aditya was uh, playing around with it and found a bunch of things which are wrong, which is not ideal, but also ideal. So please feel free to go through these labs. We also have learning paths for people who are interested in DevOps. We have some learning paths with the STO and Linkerd adapter, which helps you go through like there's a step-by-step process by which you will be able to uh, launch a sample app, then put in a fault injection, launch a circuit breaking pattern, and then at the end you get a sweet message that says that now you are well acquainted with Istio. We're also working on getting this to become a certified learning path. So for that, we'll have to put into thought with the user accounts so that people can track their progress and everything. There are Figma designs on that as well, which I'll not be able to find right now. So there are Figma designs on that as well, and we'll be starting we'll start to work on this as we go into this new year. uh yep, so we'll move forward with the agenda. So, Devupriya or Dipayan, would you guys like to talk about this pull request?
Just give me a minute.
I'll let you guys share your screens.
The thing is, the task which I was assigned was that whenever we go to the programs page and just click on something, there has to be a drop down menu which would contain all the programs as well as all the years that they have participated in. But the thing that concerns me is I added an extra filter bar because I wanted it to act as a movie program navigator. You can just jump around programs. Like suppose you want to do somebody watch filter bar, you can just jump across the years we participated in, or if I participated in. So yeah, but so this is what I did, but I was asked to do it like all in one filter bar, which I think may not be right, considering Layer5 might be taking part in like other programs in near future, and the list will go down and down. So I think it will become a bit more clumsy. But yeah. So do you guys think?
So the thing is, we probably wouldn't want two drop downs on the same page. So yeah, so one thing which you can do is just reduce it to one drop down, and instead of that, I think I reviewed it also. Instead of the select, it should say the page you're on.
Page name of the page, yeah.
Yeah, and since the second drop down is for the years, right? Like right now, what you have is the first one is for the
programs, and the second one is for the years of that specific program.
So instead of two, maybe it might be a little tricky, but you can experiment with it. Is that you can do a nested drop down, like you open one and then you can have like another one opening at the side. So if someone wants to suppose like you open the first drop down and you have the list
I
of
get it.
programs.
Yeah, we would have
And
options within options.
sort of like that is one workaround, because two drop downs in a page will not look good.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you can do that, then you can have that program, and in the other drop down which opens on the side, you can just have the years. And yeah, that should probably, I think that will look better, because two drop downs I don't think is the way to go. So you can try that. Anyone else has any opinions regarding it?
Yeah, I think one drop down should belongs to program and another should be for a year, and that's how we do when it comes to annual reports. Like when we go and download the annual reports of various years, that's how they present when it comes to a listed company.
Like you're rooting for separate drop downs.
No, one drop down for programs and another drop down year wise. Like 2019.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're saying that we should have separate drop downs, one for the programs and another for this to go through the years of that specific program.
Yes, and that should be horizontal.
Okay.
Problem with multiple drop downs here here would be it'll not be good UX.
Yeah, that is an issue.
And yeah, it won't be good UX. We could move forward with what Devupriya said, though, like having
nested options.
Or we could just skip the years. I think, like, would anybody actually go back and see what we did for GSOC to 2019? I don't think so. Yeah, this would probably need some talking over. This would probably need Lee's intervention. So best if we would bring this up on Slack later on today.
Yeah,
because because making it nested, I believe it's going to be complicated, and that's complicated for like complicated stuff for what we don't need, right? I don't think there's a need for there to be a drop down for GSOC 2019. We could just have the programs, and if somebody wants to go to GSOC 2019 someday, they would find their way around it on the site.
Or we can also just make links below the whole page.
Yeah, but like we have on docs, right? We can do related reading, related content, and then put down the back years one. Because see, this is basically for like nobody would go back and read for GSOC 2019, right? They would be interested in GSOC 2022. Like they would be only interested in the programs that they can participate it in the upcoming years, and not what happened 2-3 years back.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
That does make sense. I
So
hope.
like
Yeah.
what you were asking was like putting in just the program name 0, and
Yeah.
someone just reaches the end, they would see the previous year's links.
Yeah, if you could make some maybe I'm not sure. Would that be dealt with a GraphQL query where we can make a reusable related reading, and we can filter out on the basis of that?
I think so. How is your work, the second dropdown working right now? It's based on a GraphQL, right?
Yeah, both of them are.
So it'll be something similar, just the way of presenting will be different.
Yeah.
So I think that will be easy way around, because nested dropdown will be tricky.
Yeah, a nested dropdown would it would just be a lot of work for something which is not required.
Also, the thing is, not all of the programs I think have a previous year data, right?
No, they don't.
None of them has one except the GSOC.
Yeah, so I think you can just add it in below the GSOC thing, because I actually did not understand the concept of the second dropdown yesterday when I was reviewing it, because I clicked on it and it was just one. So right now when you showed it, it was only then that was clear key that was for the years. So yeah, I think you can just add it in below somewhere.
Okay, cool.
So last I checked out it, there was a build failure. That's not the case anymore.
No, that's all.
Yeah,
Great. So this looks pretty nice. Like if we go forward with the single drop down, it look pretty good.
Yeah, cool. Another thing is I want to say that we are like, if we're willing to keep this drop down here, so I'm sending the years below. The thing is, all of them are actually links, and whenever I click it, it just redirects to the other page. So like we have to use some kind of global state to like store the name to display it in here, because we're using React Select. So yeah, that's an issue. One way to solve it out is we can use a local state, but would that be a good thing to do? I don't know. Local storage, sorry. So if anyone got any idea like how to solve it out, so yeah.
Devupriya, I'll let you answer this question.
Do I make sense? I hope so.
No, you do make sense. Yeah, I do understand the problem, but I can't think of a solution right at this moment.
Yeah, we'll probably have to discuss about this later on, because it's too early for me to think about any of this right now.
The second dropdown does show the thing, right?
Yeah, because these are not links. These are not like really a separate page.
Devupriya, you were just thinking out loud for that moment, or are you still thinking about it?
If I think of anything, I'll get in touch with the fan. That is a problem because the links are different. So
Yeah, it will just go back to the default state. So
yeah.
that's an issue.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll discuss about this. We'll take this on Slack. Devupriya, could you just put this down note it down in the minutes so that we can bring it up later on. Dipan, anything else you'd like to share?
Pretty much done.
Okay. Thank you, Dipan.
Yeah, sure.
So, Yash, let's take a look at your Figma designs because we're at the end of the agenda already. We'll give you our opinions on it. Yash, would you like to share your screen? Hello. Yash, are you there with us? Wait, I am audible, right? People can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if Yash is not here, I'll talk about it a little. So in Meshery UI, we have Navi.
I'm
Okay,
here.
Yash is here.
Just,
Thank you. Thank God.
Zoom just, Zoom just like disappeared from my screen.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and share.
Yeah, let me share. Yeah. So there was a center, information center in the Meshery UI, which doesn't has a component and a prototype in Figma. So I was asked to do that. So it's the prototype of it. Yeah, it's working. Just wanted everyone's opinion on it. And I also wanted to ask, like, I'm not that experienced in Figma. So like you can see in the video we shared, it first we when it's first of all there's only the question mark, but after first it's all of them are visible. You have to there's no way to help that. So any reviews on that, anything I have to add?
This actually looks pretty great, and to be honest, I thought I was pretty well acquainted with Figma, but I have no idea how you were able to do these click things. And does anyone here familiar with Figma and understood what Yash was saying, where he was stuck with?
No, there was like there are two states of that. When you can see the question first when it's compressed, there it comes with a question mark, nothing else. But when we previous state has the all the icons, and then we compress it, it contains all the icons. I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah, I got that. I'm just not sure how that has to be done. Any thoughts, anyone? But this looks pretty great.
Okay. And another thing, how do I keep the copy it and get it to the main Figma file? I'm not. sure
Or
about that.
did you not do it as a main Figma file?
No, because I didn't had much experience with Figma, so I was trying on my own other
Ah,
sites.
hmm. So if you like select all of are these in different layers, or are they all in one layer together?
Definitely, I will just copy it and put in one layer if I
You
can.
can make group of these slides and you can copy paste that to the main Figma file.
No, okay, I got that. I just want to know where on this because
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
where you wanted to put it? So
because it's not showing right now. It all has like approved and draft stuff.
yeah, so you don't have to deal with the approve and draft part. So the page you would want to put it on is okay. So we don't have a separate page for okay. So there's a page. There's a page called Area Dashboard and Settings.
Yeah.
If you scroll down on the side here, yes. Not no, you
No,
missed it.
on the page
Yes.
itself.
On the
Yeah.
pages, scroll
Yeah.
up slowly. Scroll up slowly.
It is here. Area performance.
There, yeah. Area dashboard and settings.
Easy
Not
dashboard.
performance, yeah. Dashboard and settings, yeah. So since the navigator is preliminarily a part of the dashboard, let's put it here.
Okay.
And if you want to put a draft symbol, you'd be able to find it somewhere. You'll just have to copy it and put it beside your design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good work. This looks pretty damn nice. So we're at the end of agendas unless and until somebody wants to bring up something. Anybody want to talk about any work they have done, or even if it's related to Mesh UI, or if anyone is having any problem setting up their environment, because we have time, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I found an issue like
Okay.
this here. Abhijay is working on it, the mailing list, but it doesn't have the
Validations.
validation. The
Okay.
the mailing list community
Night
mailing
Hawk
list of
Nighthawk.
Nighthawk. Yeah,
Of
Yeah.
Nighthawk.
it doesn't has like a mandatory field view. You can open. Let me share his pull request link.
Like
It doesn't have like a
in the search box.
mandatory field. So I found it like there are many sites which doesn't have this thing.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't have validation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even in
Which
Nighthawk,
pages?
You can directly like add
slash
/ and subscribe to the that. Yeah. Link.
Slash what?
Subscribe.
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 Yeah.
Like without it just goes through without even adding your name and
Like if I write,
Yeah.
okay.
it also is in SMP Meshri.io, and yeah, I didn't check docs.
Okay, so this one has validation because it would. So
Is deployed on like I think on Monkey on Mailchimp or
Mailchimp
something.
or Mailchimp.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay. Yeah. So there's a method that I used for the form here. Okay. Let me see if I remember. Sure. Yeah. So there's a method that I used over here. It's called pattern. If you search online how to validate a field using pattern, so you'd be able to just put that in this field like a pattern, and there's this value that you can put in. So it would there are different patterns for names, email addresses. So with that it would be able to validate, and if somebody presses on subscribe at that time, like here, if I press on submit, it would say please fill in this field.
Okay. Okay.
You could take a look there, or it's a very easy Google search. You'll just have to search how to validate a
Form.
field using pattern,
Yeah.
a form or a field using pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's open up issues for all of them. This is this is something which is really required. Like, this is really bad UX if somebody can subscribe to a form without putting in anything, right? Also, is this the change that you made, or is this how it looks
Yeah,
right now?
it is changed. It is not aligned properly. It is distorted.
Okay, wait, let me have a look at how it is. Okay, okay. So let's make it a little bigger because it looks
Okay.
really small compared to the page size.
Okay.
So let's make it a bit bigger.
Okay.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
The first name and like we can have 3 rows: first name, last name, and email address. Like long.
Yeah.
I think that's the behavior when we go to a smaller view. Okay, so it's not. Oh yeah, because it's so small that it just
Yeah.
fits in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it gets bigger, yeah, we can do it either way. You could try experimenting. If it's in 3 separate lines, how it looks. Like, ideally, it should be in 3 separate lines when it's in a smaller view. I can't remember where that is all. Okay, I think it's over here. If we go here, not like this. Mailing list. Yeah. So this is how it is right now. Like, this is the size we want to go for.
Okay.
And this is what happens when it's in mobile view.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will
But you
check
could,
that.
yeah, you could take a look at how it looks if it's already in 3 separate columns, 3 separate rows.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, guys?
I
You
can
wanted to discuss?
increase the spacing, probably make it uniform, so it'll look like it's taking more space.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I am not able to set up Meshri in my Windows machine. So yeah, and Devipria is also having the same issue. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like,
so we
how
just solved her issue yesterday. So Devupriya, please help him set up.
Yeah, I solved it using WSL too. So if like, you can try doing it. If you run into any problems, you can ping me. I just did it yesterday. I'll try to help you out as well.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Any topics? Okay, I'll just talk about incorporating Redux, about state management, and then we can wrap up the call. So basically, we are working on an overhaul of Meshery UI. We're working on incorporating Redux, Material UI 5, and React 17 for V0.70. This effort has been led by Nitish. He's a UI maintainer. So basically, right now we use just React, and we don't have a way to manage states on Meshery UI, right? So there's a proposal to incorporate Redux. So we have proper state management in the Meshery UI. There's a branch called Meshery UI restructuring. Richa is actually leading the effort right now because she has been the one who's been contributing to this branch the most. So thank you, Richa, for that.
It's okay.
So there's a progress tracker, which you can see here. Richa has filled up a lot. So there's a progress tracker, and to be honest, if anyone wants to, contribute here, and if you see my name is beside it, you can remove my name and put yours down and work on it. There are more components. So if anyone's running, so we actually are in a need to also write down, like, list down more components here. because these are all the ones that we could remember from memory. So if anyone who here is playing around with Meshery and you see that any of the components are not written down here, you guys could list down the components and maybe a brief description or not, doesn't matter, and you guys could start working on that too. There's the only one that's open right now is the connection wizard component. So there's a connection wizard in Meshery UI which has been commented out for now because it's not entirely functional. So this is something we'll discuss in the Meshery dev call on Wednesday. So if somebody is interested in this in contributing in the restructuring, please come to the Meshery development call because we'll have Nitish there and Nitish will explain more about it. There's a README in the Meshery restructuring branch, which explains how you're supposed to set up your dev environment and how you could contribute to this specific branch. It's a little different since it's not the master. You would have to create a branch from this branch. So it's very well written down over here. So yeah, I guess I've covered all with the Redux incorporation. So if no one wants to discuss anything or bring up anything else, I guess we can call it a day and end the call here. Does anyone want to discuss anything or say anything about if show interest in this in the overhaul of Meshery UI?
Yeah, I will try to contribute to Meshery UI after setting up that local environment. So I will give it a try.
That's great. Yeah, please editate the MOP as much as you want, and let's get you set up so that you can get started with Meshery UI.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yeah, so we'll tie it off here. Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys on some other calls that we have throughout the week, or I'll see you next week at the same time here on the website's call. Thank you guys for joining. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.